Have you ever been captivated by the end of a movie but couldn't put your finger on exactly why?
Seems familiar.
It's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for me. When I saw this movie as a young lad, something about the ending in particular tugged at my heartstrings in a way that I couldn't yet grasp. And years later, I had a surprising realization that was initiated in the most unlikely of sources. And if you're thinking, okay, this guy just eventually figured out that C.S. Lewis was just a famous Christian author and this movie was an allegory for Christianity. Well, if you're thinking that, then stay tuned because this video is about to head in a different direction than you have in mind, so buckle up. Welcome to Movie Meditations. Let's make our way into the wardrobe rabbit hole and explore the surprising depth you probably missed from the ending of the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Here's a very quick recap in case you haven't seen this movie in a hot second. It's World War II in Britain, and after an air raid, 4 kids are sent away from the bombing in the city to live with the professor in his countryside estate. As they explore their new environment, Lucy, then Lucy and Edmund, and then eventually all 4 siblings, discover that the mysterious wardrobe in the spare room is a gateway to the magical land of Narnia. They soon find out that not all is well in this land, for an evil witch has seized power and kept the kingdom in a continuous winter for 100 years. After much adventure, including bringing Edmund back from the dark side, they team up with Aslan, defeat the White Witch and become kings and queens just as the prophecy foretold, and continue to reign for years to come. And as powerful as Aslan's resurrection, Edmund's redemption, and the children's heroism is, there's a part at the very end that for some reason so deeply resonated with me that I just couldn't shake it. When they stumble upon the lamppost, now as grown adults, it's apparent that they have forgotten that they were in the wardrobe in the spare room of the professor's mansion. Lucy even refers to the room as spare pronouncing it like the Narnian native Mr. Tumnus at the beginning of the movie did.
Spare Is that in Narnia?
Someone who had never heard of the outside world. And it hit me that I, too, had forgotten that all of this adventure, war, and triumph was happening inside this wardrobe, and there was still a world happening outside of it. I couldn't get over that they had lived such epic lives, fought as victorious warriors, became kings and queens, and then all of a sudden, poof. They're out in the world where this means nothing. And at the time, I couldn't put my finger on it exactly, but something really struck me about that. Dare I say, even haunted me a little bit. The ending felt very bittersweet to me. Despite their heroics and an overall happy ending for a kids' movie, I couldn't help but feel a lingering sadness about it. What happened to those mature kings and queens of Narnia? What happened to all that they achieved? What happened to their castle and all the people and animals that adored them and that they loved? Did it all just vanish like a dream?
As if from a dream, or a dream of a dream.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it stuck with me so much. It reminded me of those times after waking up from a really vivid, really beautiful dream, where there's this moment of sadness or even grief over the loss of something which didn't even really exist. And I think what this scene was showing, whether it meant to or not, was this strange, profound truth. No matter who we are, kings, queens, heroes, villains, rich, poor, it's all going to melt away. It doesn't matter if you ruled the world or barely just survived your way through it. The crown eventually slips off, the castle fades, and you wake up in a spare room somewhere, wondering if any of it was real. And this realization can be a little bit unsettling, even a little bit scary, at least from one perspective. But years later, I was reading a translation of a beautiful ancient text called the Yoga Vasistha. And in this text, there are whole lifetimes that unfold in the blink of an eye. Characters fall in love, wage wars, become kings and queens, find enlightenment, only to wake up and realize that it all happened in the time it takes for a bird to flap its wings. Or it all happened while they were just sitting with their eyes closed in a hut somewhere in a completely different reality. And when I read this text, I couldn't help but think of the ending of Narnia and the same truth that they point to. On one level, all of the things that we know about this world, our relationships, our wealth, our status, any titles that we hold, all of these will one day disappear and we're going to wake up into a new reality, a new world. There was something that just resonated with me so much more about the ending of this movie, even more in some ways than a movie like The Matrix, which also had profound impacts on me. The fact that the kids go into the wardrobe willingly and yet forget that they're in there at some point, they get so consumed with the battle of Narnia and with the reality of Narnia that they slowly forget the external world. I think that that's actually a closer representation of what happens when we decide to take a body as a human on this planet.
Seems familiar.
As if from a dream.
I think the reason that this ending stayed with me is because it stirred a memory deep in my consciousness, like a quiet reminder of something that I once knew. That when we take a body on this earth, we step fully into a dream. We live great adventures and we make great things and have beautiful relationships, and for a while we forget where we came from. And that forgetting is part of the beauty. But there comes a time when we step back through the wardrobe, when the whole life will feel like a fleeting dream, a sacred story that flashed before our eyes. And strangely, it's in remembering this dream's impermanence that we can appreciate it more deeply. That bittersweet knowing that life is heartbreakingly temporary, yet there's something inside of us that is beyond the existence between birth and death of the body. And that reminded me of my meditation teacher's quote: "The ultimate truth of life is that we will leave everything behind. Your body belongs to the world, your spirit belongs to the divine. The divine is your only security and loves you very deeply." I hope this was enough for you to meditate on until next time. Thanks for watching.